Well, I'm digging up stories using my dual laptops and my dual Ferrari mice doing burnouts on the mouse pad. These are my mice Ferraris, which I look up stuff with. But anyway, there's a story out here from it's a French newspaper online article, La Tribune, and let me just give you the translation into English because actually it's translated and I just put it in a PDF so you can read it nice and easy. Spain wants to introduce a tax on bank deposits. Now, the tax is not going to actually be to the depositors, but it's in a way it is. In a way it is because it's almost like saying this. Say for instance the U.S. government or something puts a tax on Ford Motor Company. Well, guess what? It's never really a tax on the company. What do you think? Where do you think they get their money from? Ultimately, the buyers of the cars. So even if it's just on the banks itself, this tax is just on the banks itself, guess what happens? It really comes out and somehow to the end users, the users of the bank. Either it's going to be through less services or they're going to charge you a little bit more for a service someplace, or somehow they're going to get their money back because the bank's got to have a profit. Just like so if you tax a business, you tax the end consumer. So, that's like a specious argument on the outside because, when they say they just are only taxing the banks, they will be taxing the depositors one way or the other. So, the bank's got to make the money. So on Tuesday, Spanish budget minister Cristobal Montoro, the Senate introduced the introduction of a tax on bank deposits. This tax has nothing to do with what was envisioned in Cyprus. That's what they claim. But once the idea gets hatched, then everybody else is jumping on it. But you've got to remember, this tax is only going to be 0.2%. One in Cyprus could be like up to 10% or maybe more, depending on how high the deposits are, in their accounts, how much money they have in their account. Actually, they don't really know what it's going to come out with Cyprus because there's been a number of proposals. But this tax is a lot lower. But just like anything, if you remember in the United States when they came out with the income tax, they said it would never raise it. Once you get the idea in there, forget about it, man. Then it's just a matter of like, well, it's 2%, it's 0.2%, it's then it's 0.25%, then it's 0.3%. It just goes up piece by piece by piece. So they go on to state the tax will not directly affect the investors, but will be levied on a bank. It's true, it's not going to directly affect the investors right away, but it will eventually, because just like taxing any company or any business, what you're actually eventually doing is taxing the consumer at the end. The people are actually buying the products because these businesses and banks make profit, and they have to keep making a profit. You take the profit away, you take a piece of that pie away, the government takes another slice out of there, and guess what? They have to charge it someplace. They have to make up for it, or else they close their doors. So in theory, therefore, the customers will not be affected. That's only in theory, because actually it's not even in theory, because like I just explained, in theory, the charge will be passed on to the customers one way or the other because they have to make their profit. So, it's really a tax, and once they start this ball rolling, why would you keep your money in the bank? Really? I mean, it's getting to that point. I wouldn't just panic just yet and pull all your savings out, but this is actually, you can see what's going on. It's not just drama. Because, Cyprus, we got a real event. But just how all these other egghead bureaucrats, and you have your Western communists, I'll call them that, they're bankers. They're all these pieces of garbage that work in these offices that are nothing but communist bureaucrats all the way. They will never get their hands dirty in a million years. Actually, if you really want to know what this financial crisis is from, it's actually we're loaded down with bureaucracy, red tape, and a bunch of freaking lemmings that, push paper, basically. And I'm not knocking paper or any education and that type of thing because, planning and education and organization and writing things down and testing things is like, you need a lot of brain power for that. But what we have is an endless bureaucracy. And actually, if you want to know what the hell's wrong with the whole freaking system, it's in one word, it's bureaucracy. We got a lot of people just shuffling paper one way and shuffling paper another way. It's not that I'm knocking paper or education or higher learning or testing things scientifically and engineering and that type of stuff. But we got a bunch of people just shoveling paper just for paper's sake. That's what's going on. And it's like we got a lot of garbage like, the banking system's a joke and a half. It's almost like we could probably be better off just getting on with hands-on entrepreneurs that actually build products that people need and just going back to trading silver coins and, get down to real work. The hell with this garbage. And, I don't like, I like actually when I do videos, I'll do a mixture of hands-on videos and some of this updates on what's going on in the world. But basically, common sense tells you the banking system's not going to be safe in the long run. No way in hell. It's not a conspiracy. It's not like drama. It's reality. Because once this Cypher event happened, there it goes on and says, there remains that the tax can be seen as proof that the Cyprus case is not so special as the Europeans say. They're all going to jump on this. And it's like these jerks in the banking system and the government, it's like what this is job security for them. That's what the hell it is. It's job security for them. That's what they're doing. They're a bunch of BS, man. So, I say screw their job security. Take your money out of the bank and screw them all. So they're not giving you any kind of service. They're just taxing you. And it's like, what are you getting in exchange? They say this is only 0.2%. I mean, it didn't happen yet, but, it looks like this stuff's going to happen. As long as it's, you see, this is like a smarter way to introduce it, though. Like you're saying, it's only on the banks, it's not on the depositors, and it's only 0.2%. But that's one way to get it through. But like I said, it is on the depositors because the banks, if they take 0.2% slice out of the bank's profit, they're going to have to make up for it somewhere else. And where that somewhere else is going to be. It's going to be on the customers of the banks one way or the other, either lesser services or some other charges some other place. So, people just take your money out of the banks. The hell with it. It's not going to actually cause a bank run right away. But why the hell should you even support these jerks? That's the way I look at it. So, it's interesting because this concept, now that this concept like Cyprus proposed or whatever this one person in Cyprus proposed, it looks like it's spreading all over the place. And before you know it, it's going to be here in the United States. So another reason to stay real and stay with silver and gold and screw these banks. But once it starts, once the ball rolls, hey, and this is where you're going to see the supposed collapse of the banking system. Because people are going to wake up and going to say, why the hell should I keep my money in these damn institutions? It's costing me money to keep it in there. Even if you're going to stay with paper cash, you're better off just taking it out. So that's what people are going to figure out, and that will actually cause the collapse of the banking system at some point in time.